Captain Elena Vasquez floated in the command center of the Prometheus, watching the blue marble of Earth through the massive viewing screen. Her hands gripped the control panel as red warning lights flashed across the bridge. The alien ships were coming closer. "Captain, 3 more vessels detected at the edge of our solar system," reported Lieutenant Chen from his station. His voice was calm, but Elena could hear the tension underneath. They had all trained for this moment for 20 years. Elena nodded slowly. The Federation scouts had been watching Earth for months now. They thought humans were stupid. They thought human technology was primitive. They were about to learn how wrong they were. "How long until they reach Earth orbit?" Elena asked. 6 hours at current speed, Chen replied. "They're not trying to hide anymore." Elena smiled grimly. The aliens had been watching Earth's radio signals for decades. They saw human television, heard human music, and watched human wars. They thought they understood what humans were capable of. They had classified Earth as a developing world with limited threat potential. They had no idea about the secret projects. 50 years ago, human scientists had detected strange energy, readings from deep space. The readings didn't match anything in human physics books. Dr. Sarah Kim, the lead scientist at the Hidden Valley Research Center, had made a shocking discovery. The readings were artificial. They were made by machines, alien machines. The world's governments had made a secret decision. They would prepare for contact, but they would prepare carefully. While aliens watched Earth's surface and saw primitive rockets and basic technology, humans were building something else entirely. Deep in asteroid belts, hidden behind the moon, and buried under Earth's oceans, humans were creating weapons the aliens had never seen before. The Prometheus was one of 12 ships built in complete secrecy. Its hull was made from materials that absorbed sensor beams like a black hole absorbed light. Its engines could bend space and time, making the ship appear and disappear like a ghost. Its weapons could tear apart matter at the atomic level or create small black holes that would swallow enemy ships whole. "Captain, incoming transmission from Earth Command," reported Communications Officer Torres. "Put it through," Elena said. Admiral Jackson's face appeared on the screen. His gray hair and lined face showed the stress of commanding humanity's secret defense force. "Elena, the Federation ships are requesting permission to enter Earth orbit. They want to make formal contact with our species." Elena laughed without humor. "Formal contact? Is that what they're calling it? Our intelligence suggests this isn't a friendly visit," Jackson continued. "The aliens call themselves the Galactic Federation, but it's really more like an empire. They find new species, offer them protection, and then turn them into slave races. They mine their worlds, take their young people for their armies, and destroy anyone who refuses to cooperate." Elena felt anger rising in her chest. Humanity had spent 50 years preparing for this moment, and they had prepared well. The aliens thought they were dealing with primitive humans who barely understood nuclear power. They were about to meet humans who had learned to weaponize the laws of physics themselves. "What are our orders, Admiral?" Elena asked. "Stay hidden for now. Let them make their offer. Record everything they say. When they show their true intentions, then we show them ours." Elena nodded. "Understood, sir. The Prometheus is ready." "Good. Remember, Elena, this isn't just about Earth. Every species the Federation has ever encountered has become their slave or been destroyed. We might be the first species capable of fighting back. The galaxy is watching even if they don't know it yet." The transmission ended. Elena turned to address her crew. 45 men and women from 12 different countries, all volunteers, all sworn to secrecy. They had trained together in hidden facilities, learned to operate technology that most humans couldn't even imagine, and prepared to fight enemies that most people thought only existed in science fiction movies. "You all heard the Admiral," Elena said. "The Federation ships will reach Earth in 6 hours. They'll probably offer us membership in their little club. They'll promise us technology, protection, and a place among the stars. What they won't tell us is that membership costs everything we are as a species." Lieutenant Commander Roberts, Elena's second-in-command, spoke up. Captain, what do we know about their weapons? Elena called up a holographic display showing Federation ship designs. The images had been gathered by hidden human spy satellites and long-range sensors. Their ships are big and impressive-looking, but they're designed for fighting other Federation species. Energy shields, plasma cannons, and nuclear missiles. Standard technology for civilizations that follow predictable development paths. She smiled. Humans didn't follow predictable paths. While other species developed better energy weapons, we learned to manipulate gravity. While they built stronger shields, we invented weapons that phase through matter. While they made bigger ships, we made ships that can exist in multiple dimensions at once. Elena brought up another display showing human weapon systems. Even her own crew looked amazed at some of the technology. Quantum torpedoes that could exist in two places at once until they hit their target. Gravity cannons that could crush a ship into a ball of metal the size of a marble. Phase rifles that could shoot through solid matter and only become solid again when they reached living tissue. The Federation has conquered 47 different species, Elena continued. Every single one of those species developed technology in logical, predictable ways. They improved existing concepts instead of inventing completely new ones. The Federation learned to counter every type of weapon and defense system that follows normal development patterns. She paused, looking each crew member in the eye. Humans are not normal. We never have been. We're the species that invented flight by studying birds, then built machines that flew better than any bird. We're the species that looked at the power of the atom and decided to harness it for both energy and weapons. We're the species that sent people to the moon using computers less powerful than a modern calculator. Lieutenant Chen spoke up. Captain, do you really think we can fight an entire galactic empire? Elena nodded firmly. Chen, we're not fighting an empire. We're fighting bullies. The Federation has never faced real resistance because they've never encountered a species that developed weapons specifically designed to counter their tactics. Every species they've conquered tried to fight them using normal weapons and normal strategies. She gestured to the displays showing human technology. There's nothing normal about any of this. Our ships can phase in and out of reality. Our weapons can manipulate the fundamental forces of the universe. Our AI systems can think faster than any organic brain and coordinate attacks across light years of space instantly. Helena walked to the viewing screen and looked out at Earth. Billions of people down there going about their daily lives, completely unaware that first contact with alien life was about to happen. Most of them still thought humans were alone in the universe. They had no idea that their species was about to face the greatest threat in human history. The Federation thinks they're coming to Earth to recruit another servant species, Elena said quietly. They think humans are primitive and weak. They think our weapons are crude and our defenses are pathetic. They're going to offer us a choice. Join them willingly or be conquered by force. She turned back to her crew. What they don't understand is that humans have already made our choice. We chose freedom. We chose to fight for our independence before we even knew who we'd be fighting, and we chose to win. The red warning lights continued flashing as the alien ships approached Earth. In 6 hours, first contact would begin. The Federation would learn that humans were not like the other species they had conquered. Humans were something new, something dangerous, something they were completely unprepared to face. The galaxy was about to change forever. Ambassador Kethlar stood tall in the main hall of the United Nations building, his blue skin gleaming under the artificial lights. He was nearly 8 feet tall with 4 arms and eyes that glowed like golden lamps. Behind him stood 6 other aliens, each from a different species within the Galactic Federation. To the humans watching, they looked impressive and powerful. Kethlar didn't know that hidden sensors throughout the building were analyzing every detail of his technology, his biology, and his ship's energy signatures. He didn't know that deep space telescopes had been tracking his fleet since they entered the solar system. Most importantly, he didn't know that Captain Elena Vasquez was watching from the bridge of the invisible Prometheus, recording every word. He said, "People of Earth," Kethlar began, his voice translated by advanced alien technology. "I bring greetings from the Galactic Federation. We have been watching your species for some time, and we are impressed by your potential. President Chen of the United Earth Council stepped forward. She was a small woman compared to the giant alien, but her voice was steady and strong. We welcome you to Earth, Ambassador. Humanity has wondered for centuries if we were alone in the universe. Today we have our answer. Kethlar smiled, showing rows of sharp teeth. You are far from alone, humans. The galaxy contains thousands of intelligent species, and most of them are members of our Federation. We offer protection, advanced technology, and a place among the stars. Elena watched from space, her jaw clenched tight. She had read the intelligence reports. Every species that joined the Federation lost its independence within a generation. Their young people were taken to serve in Federation armies. Their resources were extracted to fuel Federation expansion. Their cultures were slowly erased and replaced with Federation standards. What would membership in the Federation require? President Chen asked carefully. Kethlar's smile grew wider. Very little, really. You would allow us to establish mining, operations on your outer planets and moons. You would provide a reasonable number of your young adults for service in our defense forces. In exchange, we would protect Earth from hostile aliens and share our advanced technology with your scientists. Elena's communications officer quietly reported, Captain, I'm picking up transmissions from the Federation fleet. They're discussing orbital positions and talking about demonstration protocols if humans refuse their offer. Elena nodded grimly. The Federation always made the same offer to new species: join willingly or be forced to join. They had done it 47 times before, and it had worked every single time. President Chen looked thoughtful. Ambassador, you mentioned protection from hostile aliens. What kind of threats exist in the galaxy? Kethlar gestured dramatically with all four arms. The universe is a dangerous place, President Chen. There are pirates, raiders, and even entire species that reject the peace and order of the Federation. Without our protection, primitive species like yours rarely survive long after achieving space travel. Elena felt her anger rising. Kethlar was describing the Federation's own enemies as if they were dangerous monsters. In reality, most hostile aliens were just species that had refused to become Federation slaves and were now fighting for their freedom. Could we see a demonstration of this advanced technology you mentioned? President Chen asked. Of course, Kethlar replied. Captain Thoxall, please show our new friends the power of Federation science. The alien captain, a reptilian creature with green scales and multiple eyes, spoke into a small device. Moments later, the humans in the UN building could see through the windows as bright lights appeared in the sky above New York City. 3 Federation warships had decloaked, hanging in the air like metal mountains. Each ship was over a kilometer long, covered in weapon ports and shield generators. Their hulls gleamed with advanced metals that could withstand the heat of stars. Energy fields flickered around them like ghostly flames. To anyone watching, they looked incredibly powerful and threatening. Elena's tactical officer analyzed the ships and shook his head. Captain, their weapons are impressive by galactic standards, but they're using technology that's at least 50 years behind our latest systems. Their shields are designed to stop energy weapons and physical projectiles, but they won't even detect our quantum torpedoes until it's too late. What about their numbers? Elena asked. Intelligence reports suggest they have about 50 ships total in their fleet, mostly standard warships with a few command vessels and support ships. Nothing we can't handle. Elena opened a channel to Earth Command. Admiral Jackson, are you seeing this? Admiral Jackson's voice came through clearly. We're watching everything, Elena. The Federation is making their standard intimidation display. President Chen knows what to do. Back in the UN building, President Chen looked up at the massive alien ships. Your technology is certainly impressive, Ambassador. However, humanity will need time to consider your offer. This is not a decision we can make quickly. Kethlar's expression darkened slightly. President Chen, you must understand that the Federation's offer is not optional. Every species in the galaxy must choose between membership and other alternatives. Captain Thoxall stepped forward, his multiple eyes glowing red. Perhaps humans need a demonstration of what happens to species that refuse the Federation's generous offer. Elena watched as the Federation captain raised his weapon toward President Chen. She had seen enough. All stations, prepare for combat. Operations. It's time to show them what human technology can really do. Elena opened a channel to all Federation ships. Attention Federation Fleet. This is Captain Elena Vasquez of the United Earth Defense Force. You are ordered to withdraw from Earth space immediately. Laughter came through the communication system. Captain Thoxel's voice was full of mockery. Humans, we do not detect any ships in this system except our own. Are you planning to fight us with your primitive rockets and nuclear weapons? Elena smiled coldly. Computer, decloak all ships. The space around Earth suddenly filled with new contacts. The Prometheus appeared first, its sleek black hull absorbing light like a hungry shadow. Then came the Icarus, the Phoenix, and 9 other human warships. Each one was smaller than the Federation vessels, but their energy signatures made no sense to alien sensors. On the bridge of the lead Federation ship, alarms began screaming. Captain Thoxel stared at his displays in confusion. Where did they come from? How are they generating those power readings? Elena's voice filled the communication channels. Federation fleet, you have 30 seconds to withdraw from Earth orbit. If you do not comply, we will consider it an act of war. Captain Thoxel laughed, but his laughter sounded forced. 12 small ships against 50 Federation warships? Humans, you are either very brave or very stupid. Elena checked her weapon systems. Quantum torpedoes loaded and ready. Gravity cannons charged to full power. Phase rifles armed and targeted. Her ship's AI had already calculated the optimal attack patterns and was sharing the data with the other human vessels. Federation fleet, Elena said calmly. You have 15 seconds to withdraw. Instead of withdrawing, the Federation ships began moving into attack formation. Captain Thoxel raised his weapon toward President Chen again. Humans, watch as we demonstrate what happens to species that defy the Federation. Elena's tactical officer reported, Captain, Federation weapons are powering up. They're targeting the UN building. Elena's voice was ice cold. All ships, you are authorized to engage. Show them what happens when you threaten Earth. The first battle between humans and the Galactic Federation was about to begin. The aliens expected an easy victory against primitive human technology. They were about to discover that humans had spent 50 years preparing for this exact moment. In the UN building, President Chen smiled slightly as she watched the alien ships prepare to fire. She knew something that Ambassador Ketheler didn't. No. Humanity had never been defenseless. They had just been waiting for the right moment to show their true strength. The moment had arrived. Captain Thoxel pressed the trigger on his weapon, aiming directly at President Chen. The energy blast should have killed the human leader instantly. Instead, it struck an invisible barrier and disappeared harmlessly. President Chen stood calmly, protected by a personal shield system that the Federation had never seen before. Elena's voice filled the communication channels. You just fired on a diplomatic representative under a flag of truce. In human culture, that's called a war crime. Elena turned to her weapons officer. Fire. The Prometheus unleashed its first attack, and the Federation learned what human warfare really looked like. Instead of the energy beams and explosive missiles they expected, something impossible happened. The Federation's lead warship simply began to tear itself apart from the inside. What's happening to our ship? Captain Thoxel screamed as his hull plates began peeling away like flower petals. Elena's weapons officer calmly explained to the bridge crew, even though the aliens could hear every word. Quantum torpedoes work by existing in 2 places at once until they hit their target. They pass right through shields and armor because, technically, they're not really there until the moment of impact. When they do impact, they don't explode. They convince the target's atoms that they want to be somewhere else. Captain Thoxel watched in horror as his massive warship broke apart without any visible cause. His weapons hadn't even been damaged by human fire. They were simply no longer connected to the rest of his ship. The other Federation captains opened fire with everything they had. Plasma cannons, particle beams, and nuclear missiles filled the space around Earth with deadly energy. The humans should have been destroyed instantly. Instead, something even stranger happened. The human ships simply weren't there anymore. Where did they go? Ambassador Kethlar demanded from the surface. Elena's voice answered him. We're right here. We just shifted into a different phase of reality. Your weapons can't hit targets that exist in a different dimension. The human ships reappeared, but now they were inside the Federation formation. The Icarus materialized directly above a Federation cruiser and fired its gravity cannon. The alien ship didn't explode. Instead, it began to fold in on itself like paper being crumpled by an invisible hand. Within seconds, a 1,000-meter warship had been compressed into a ball of metal the size of a basketball. Captain Phoenix of the ship bearing her name opened fire with phase rifles. The Federation ship's shields didn't even register the attack, because the beams passed right through them. But when the beams reached the ship's hulls, they became solid again and began tearing through internal systems. Federation crews watched in terror as their own equipment turned against them, sparks flying from control panels as invisible weapons destroyed everything they touched. This is impossible, Captain Thoxall gasped as his ship continued to fall apart around him. Weapons can't work this way. You're violating the fundamental laws of physics. Elena laughed. Captain, you're thinking like every other species the Federation has encountered. You assume that physics has laws that can't be broken. Humans assume that physics has tools that can be used. The Phoenix demonstrated Elena's point by doing something that made the Federation crews question their own sanity. The human ship split into 4 identical copies of itself. Each copy was solid and real and capable of independent action. The Federation sensors detected 4 separate ships with 4 separate energy signatures, but they had all come from a single vessel. How many ships do humans really have? Ambassador Kethlar whispered. Elena answered cheerfully. That depends on how you count. We built 12 ships, but each ship can exist in multiple realities at once. So we might have 12 ships, or we might have 144, or we might have 12,000. It really depends on how badly we want to win. The Federation fleet tried to retreat, but they discovered that humans had prepared for that possibility too. The Prometheus fired a new type of weapon that created artificial gravity fields. Suddenly, the Federation ships found themselves trapped in an invisible web that pulled them back toward Earth no matter how much power they applied to their engines. You can't trap us here forever, Captain Thoxall said, though his voice sounded less confident than before. We don't need to trap you forever, Elena replied. We just need to trap you long enough to demonstrate why the Federation should leave Earth alone. The human ship called Daedalus moved into position above the largest Federation vessel. Instead of firing weapons, it simply opened its cargo bay. Thousands of small objects poured out like metallic rain. The Federation sensors identified them as simple mining robots, the kind used to break apart asteroids for raw materials. Captain Thoxall relaxed slightly. Mining robots? What do you plan to do with those? Elena's voice was pleasant and conversational. Well, Captain, those aren't exactly mining robots. They're AI-controlled nanobots designed to take apart large objects at the molecular level. We normally use them to process asteroid materials, but they work just as well on warships. The Federation crews watched in growing horror as the tiny robots began landing on their hulls. Within minutes, the massive warships were being eaten alive by machines too small to shoot. The nanobots worked with incredible precision, taking apart weapon systems, shield generators, and engines while carefully avoiding life support systems. You're disarming us, Captain Thoxall realized. We're giving you a choice, Elena corrected. You can surrender now and we'll stop the nanobots. Or you can keep fighting and discover what happens when nanobots run out of weapons to eat and start working on hull plating. One by one, the Federation ships surrendered. Their weapons were gone, their shields were down, and their engines were offline. They hung in space around Earth like broken toys, completely helpless. But Elena wasn't finished demonstrating human capabilities. Computer, activate the experimental weapon system. Her weapons officer looked surprised. Captain, we've never tested that system in actual combat. Elena smiled grimly. Then this will be a good learning experience. The space around Earth began to change. Reality itself seemed to bend and twist as the Prometheus activated a weapon that manipulated the fundamental structure of the universe. The Federation crews watched in awe and terror as a small artificial black hole appeared between their ships. The black hole didn't attack them. It just sat there, slowly rotating, its event horizon clearly visible against the stars. It was small, barely the size of a marble, but its gravitational field was perfectly controlled and absolutely deadly. That's a controlled singularity, Elena explained calmly. We can make it bigger, smaller, move it anywhere we want, or make it disappear entirely. If we made it just a little bit larger, it would swallow your entire fleet. If we made it much larger, it would swallow Earth's moon. If we made it really large, it would swallow the sun. Ambassador Kethalar's voice came from the surface, shaking with fear. Why are you showing us this? Elena's voice became serious and cold. Because, Ambassador, you need to understand what you're dealing with. The Federation has conquered 47 species because those species developed predictable technology that could be countered with standard tactics. Humans are not predictable. She gestured to her tactical display, even though the aliens couldn't see it. Every weapon system on this ship was designed specifically to counter Federation military doctrine. Your shields stop energy weapons, so we built weapons that phase through matter. Your armor stops projectiles, so we built weapons that convince atoms to relocate. Your tactics assume that enemy ships will fight at long range, so we built ships that can appear anywhere we want them to be. The artificial black hole winked out of existence as easily as it had appeared. The Federation crews breathed sighs of relief, not realizing that Elena could bring it back at any moment. The Federation has never encountered a species that spent 50 years preparing specifically to fight you, Elena continued. Every human weapon, every human ship, every human tactic was designed with one goal in mind: make it impossible for the Federation to conquer Earth. Captain Thoxall's voice was barely a whisper. How long have you known about us? Elena laughed, but there was no humor in the sound. Captain, we've been listening to Federation communications for decades. We know about every species you've conquered. We know about the resistance movements you've crushed. We know about the worlds you've strip-mined and the cultures you've destroyed. She paused, letting that information sink in. We know that the Federation has never been defeated in battle, never been forced to retreat, and never been made to question its own superiority. Today, all of that changes. Elena opened a channel to all Federation ships simultaneously. Federation. Fleet, you have a choice to make. You can withdraw from Earth space immediately and report to your superiors that humans are not interested in joining your empire. Or you can stay here and discover what our other weapon systems can do. The Federation crews looked at their disabled ships, their destroyed weapons, and the 12 human vessels that had made their entire fleet helpless in less than 10 minutes. The choice was not difficult to make. Captain Thoxall was the first to respond. Human ships, we surrender. We will withdraw from Earth space immediately. Admiral Zalkan stood in the command center of the Federation flagship Dominion, staring at the battle reports from Earth. The massive alien looked like a walking mountain of muscle and metal, with cybernetic implants replacing most of his original body. He had conquered 17 different species personally and had never lost a single battle. Tell me again how 12 primitive human ships defeated our entire diplomatic fleet, he growled to Captain Thoxall, who stood before him trembling. Admiral, their technology. It doesn't work the way technology should work, Thoxall stammered. They fired weapons that passed through our shields like they weren't there. They made their ships exist in multiple places at once. They created artificial black holes and controlled them like tools. Admiral Zalkan smashed his metal fist through the display table, sending sparks flying. Impossible. No species develops that kind of technology without following predictable development paths. They should have had energy weapons, chemical rockets, and basic nuclear power. That's what our scouts reported. The humans were hiding their real capabilities, Thoxall explained. They've been preparing for war with us for over 50 years. Every weapon they used was designed specifically to counter Federation military doctrine. Across the galaxy, emergency sessions were being held on every Federation world. For the first time in their history, the Federation had been defeated in battle. Not just defeated, humiliated. 12 human ships had destroyed an entire fleet, without suffering a single casualty. The Federation Council gathered on the capital world of Hegemonia. 47 different species sent their representatives to discuss the human problem. Ambassador Kethlar stood before them, his blue skin pale with embarrassment. "Fellow council members," Kethlar began, "I must report that first contact with humanity has not proceeded according to standard protocols." Council leader Vextar, an ancient creature that looked like a giant spider made of crystal, clicked, his mandibles in annoyance. "Kethlar, you were supposed to recruit a primitive species for labor and military service. Instead, you started a war with beings who possess technology we don't understand. They attacked without provocation," Kethlar protested. "You fired on their diplomatic representative," Council leader Vextar replied coldly. "In most civilized cultures, that is considered an act of war." Admiral Zalkan stepped forward. "Council leader, with respect, it doesn't matter who started the conflict. What matters is that a new species has refused to join the Federation and has the military capability to enforce that refusal. This cannot be allowed to stand." Murmurs of agreement rippled through the council chambers. The Federation had spent thousands of years building their empire. Every species they encountered was given the same choice: join willingly or be conquered by force. No species had ever successfully chosen a third option. "What do you propose, Admiral?" asked Council Member Hixnall, a floating jellyfish-like creature with dozens of tentacles. "I propose that we assemble the Grand Fleet and show humanity what happens when a species defies the Federation," Zalkan replied. "We'll bring 1,000 ships to Earth system. Even with their advanced technology, 12 human vessels cannot defeat those numbers." Council leader Vextar considered this. "How long will it take to assemble the Grand Fleet?" 3 months to gather ships from across Federation space," Zalkan answered. "Another month to coordinate the attack. The humans will have 4 months to surrender voluntarily." "And if they don't surrender?" Admiral Zalkan's cybernetic eye glowed red. "Then we destroy Earth and every human in the galaxy. We make an example that will prevent any other species from getting similar ideas about independence." Meanwhile, in Earth's solar system, humanity was preparing for exactly this response. Admiral Jackson stood in the Strategic Command Center, buried deep beneath the Rocky Mountains, studying reports from intelligence agents throughout Federation space. "Elena, our spies report that the Federation is mobilizing their entire military," Jackson said over the communication link. "Over 1,000 warships are heading toward Earth." Captain Elena Vasquez nodded from the bridge of the Prometheus. "We expected this, Admiral. The Federation can't allow word to spread that they can be defeated. If other species learn that rebellion is possible, their entire empire will collapse." "Can we handle 1,000 ships with just 12 vessels?" Jackson asked. Elena smiled confidently. "Admiral, we're not fighting with just 12 ships anymore." She activated a holographic display that showed the entire solar system. What Admiral Jackson saw made him whistle in amazement. The space between Earth and Jupiter was filled with thousands of new contacts. "Elena, what am I looking at?" "The automated defense network," Elena replied. "While the Federation was preparing their Grand Fleet, we've been building our own surprises. Every asteroid between here and the outer planets has been converted into an automated weapons platform. Our AI systems have been replicating themselves and building new ships continuously for the past 4 months." Elena zoomed in on one of the asteroids. What looked like a simple rock was actually a sophisticated weapons platform the size of a city, completely invisible to conventional sensors. Its surface was covered with quantum torpedo launchers, gravity cannons, and phase rifle arrays. Most importantly, it was controlled by artificial intelligence that could think and react faster than any organic crew. "How many platforms do we have?" Jackson asked. "Currently about 50,000, but the number is growing every hour," Elena replied. "Each platform can operate independently or coordinate with the others to create attack patterns that no organic crew could execute. When the Federation arrives, they'll find themselves fighting not just our ships, but the entire solar system. Elena brought up another display showing something even more impressive. Admiral, we've also completed Project Deep Strike. Jackson stared at the display in disbelief. Elena, is that what I think it is? A network of artificial wormholes, connecting every major system in Federation space, Elena confirmed. We can now send ships instantly to any Federation world without travel time. While their Grand Fleet is attacking Earth, we can strike their home world simultaneously. Elena's tactical officer added more information. Sir, we've also completed development of the Cascade weapon system. If the Federation tries to destroy Earth, we can trigger a chain reaction that will destroy every star in Federation space. Mutually assured destruction, but on a galactic scale. Admiral Jackson shook his head in amazement. Elena, you're talking about weapons that could destroy entire civilizations. Yes, sir, Elena replied seriously. The Federation has had this capability for thousands of years. They've used it to force dozens of species into submission by threatening to destroy their home worlds. Now humans have the same capability. Elena paused, her expression becoming grim. Admiral, the Federation is about to learn what total war really means. They're used to fighting species that develop predictable technology and follow accepted rules of warfare. Humans don't follow those rules. She brought up intelligence reports from across Federation space. While they've been gathering their Grand Fleet, we've been infiltrating their computer networks. Every Federation ship, every Federation world, every Federation facility is now connected to our AI network. We know everything they're planning, and we can turn their own systems against them at will. Admiral Jackson realized the full scope of what Elena was describing. You're not just preparing to defend Earth, you're preparing to take apart their entire civilization. If that's what it takes to keep humanity free, Elena replied without hesitation. Admiral, the Federation has conquered 47 species. By convincing them that resistance is hopeless, they show overwhelming force, demand surrender, and destroy anyone who refuses. It's worked for thousands of years because no species has ever been able to threaten Federation homeworlds in return. Elena smiled coldly. Humans can threaten their homeworlds. We can strike anywhere in Federation space instantly. We can turn their own technology against them. We can make them face the same choice they've given every other species: surrender or be destroyed. Admiral Jackson understood. You're going to offer them membership in a human empire. No, Admiral, Elena corrected. We're going to offer them something they've never experienced before: a fair fight. When their Grand Fleet arrives at Earth, they'll discover that humans have spent 4 months turning our entire solar system into a weapon. Every asteroid, every moon, every planet is now part of our defense network. Elena brought up the final display, showing human ships that were completely different from anything the Federation had seen before. These vessels were massive, sleek, and covered with weapons that seemed to bend reality around them. Are those the new dreadnoughts? Jackson asked. The first of our Titan-class vessels, Elena confirmed. Each one is the size of a small moon and carries enough firepower to destroy entire fleets. We've built 12 of them, one for each of our original ships. When the Federation arrives, they'll face not just our defensive network, but weapons designed specifically to fight 1,000-ship fleets. Elena's expression became determined. Admiral, humanity spent 50. Admiral Zalcon stood on the bridge of the Dominion as his Grand Fleet dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of Earth's solar system. 1,047 warships spread across space like a metal wall, their weapons charged and shields raised. It was the largest military force ever assembled in galactic history. Begin long-range scanning, Zalcon ordered. I want to know the location of every human ship in this system. His sensor officer, a multi-eyed creature called Vexihan, worked frantically at his console. After several minutes, he looked up in confusion. Admiral, I'm detecting the same 12 human ships we encountered before, but there's something wrong with the readings. Explain, Zalcon growled. Sir, the energy signatures are much stronger than before. Each human ship is reading as if it has the power output of a small star. That should be impossible for vessels that size. Zalkan studied the tactical display. The 12 human ships were arranged in a defensive formation around Earth, looking tiny compared to his massive fleet. Vexhan, are you certain there are only 12 ships? Positive, Admiral. However, I'm also detecting some unusual readings from the asteroids and moons in this system. The mineral composition seems artificial. Captain Elena Vasquez watched the Federation fleet from the bridge of the Prometheus. Her ship had grown during the past 4 months. What had once been a sleek destroyer was now a massive dreadnought the size of a city, its hull black as space and covered with weapons that could unmake reality itself. Federation fleet, this is Captain Vasquez of the United Earth Defense Force. Elena broadcast on all channels. You are entering sovereign human territory. State your intentions. Admiral Zalkan's voice boomed across space. Captain Vasquez, I am Admiral Zalkan of the Federation Grand Fleet. You are ordered to surrender immediately. Any resistance will result in the complete destruction of your species. Elena smiled coldly. Admiral, you tried to intimidate us. With 50 ships and failed. Did you really think 1,000 ships would be more effective? Human, you are facing the combined military might of 47 different species. Your 12 ships cannot possibly defeat this force. Elena's response was calm and confident. Admiral, you're making the same mistake every Federation leader has made for thousands of years. You're assuming that superior numbers guarantee victory. Elena turned to her tactical officer. Lieutenant Park, show Admiral Zalkan what human numbers look like. Lieutenant Park nodded and activated the solar system's defense network. Suddenly, the Federation fleet found themselves surrounded by new contacts. Every asteroid, every moon, every piece of space debris revealed itself to be a weapons platform. The Federation sensors registered over 50,000 automated defense systems, all armed with weapons that defied known physics. Impossible, Admiral Zalkan whispered. Where did they all come from? Elena's voice filled the communication channels. Admiral, while you were gathering ships from across your empire, we were turning our entire solar system into a weapon. Every rock in space between here and Jupiter is now under our control. Vexhan frantically updated his tactical display. The Federation fleet wasn't facing 12 ships anymore. They were facing an entire solar system that had been converted into a fortress. The asteroids alone outnumbered them 50-1. But Admiral Zalkan had not conquered 17 species by being easily intimidated. All ships, open fire, destroy everything that isn't natural. The Federation fleet unleashed the fury of 1,000 civilizations. Energy beams, plasma cannons, and nuclear missiles filled space with deadly fire. The attack was so massive that it lit up the entire solar system like a new sun. The human response was unlike anything the Federation had ever seen. Instead of returning fire with similar weapons, the humans did something that violated every law of physics the aliens understood. They made the Federation fleet's own weapons disappear. What happened to our missiles? Captain Thoxall screamed from his new command ship. Elena answered cheerfully. We've developed quantum nullification fields. Your weapons exist in this reality until they get close to our ships. Then they stop existing entirely. Not destroyed, not deflected, just gone. The Federation tried again, firing concentrated beams at the human vessels. The energy simply vanished when it reached the human ships as if it had never existed at all. This is impossible, Admiral Zalkan roared. Energy cannot simply cease to exist. Admiral, Elena replied, you keep saying things are impossible, but you're watching them happen. Maybe the problem isn't with reality. Maybe the problem is with your understanding of reality. Elena gave her next order. All platforms, begin Phase 1 attack patterns. The 50,000 automated weapons platforms surrounding the Federation fleet opened fire simultaneously. But instead of energy beams or missiles, they fired something far more terrifying. Weapons that edited the basic laws of physics in localized areas of space. Federation ships began experiencing impossible problems. Gravity reversed itself, pulling their hulls apart. Time moved backwards in their engine rooms, causing their power systems to run in reverse. The strong nuclear force weakened in random areas, causing atoms to simply fall apart. Admiral, Our ships are falling apart at the molecular level, Vex Han reported in terror. Whatever they're using as weapons, it's rewriting the fundamental forces that hold matter together. Admiral Zalkan watched 100 of his ships disintegrate without any visible cause. All ships retreat to maximum range and regroup. Elena's voice followed them as they tried to withdraw. Admiral, there is no maximum range in this engagement. Our weapons don't travel through space. They simply decide where they want to be and appear there instantly. To prove her point, Elena activated Phase 2 of the Human Defense Plan. The 12 human dreadnoughts simply vanished from their positions around Earth and reappeared scattered throughout the Federation formation. Each human ship was now surrounded by dozens of Federation vessels, but instead of being trapped, they had become the trappers. The Prometheus materialized directly next to the Dominion, so close that Admiral Zalkan could see Elena's face through the viewing screens. "Hello, Admiral," Elena said pleasantly. "Surprised to see us?" Elena's weapons officer fired a single quantum torpedo. Instead of hitting the Dominion, it hit every Federation ship simultaneously. One torpedo became 1,000 torpedoes, each one perfectly targeted and impossible to stop. The Federation Grand Fleet began to fall apart, not destroyed by explosions or fire, but simply taken apart as their basic atomic structure was convinced to reorganize itself into harmless space dust. "We surrender!" Admiral Zalkan screamed. "Federation fleet, cease all hostilities immediately!" Elena held up her hand and the human attack stopped instantly. The Federation ships that were still intact hung motionless in space, their crews too terrified to move. "Admiral Zalkan," Elena said calmly, "you brought 1,000 ships to Earth to demonstrate Federation superiority. Would you like to know how many human ships participated in this battle?" "How many?" Zalkan whispered. 12, Elena replied. "The same 12 ships you faced 4 months ago. Everything else was automated systems and AI-controlled platforms. You just lost to the equivalent of one human naval squadron." Elena brought up a holographic display that showed the true scale of human military preparation. "Admiral, this is the asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter. We've converted roughly 1% of it into weapons platforms. If we had converted the entire belt, we could have fielded 5 million automated defense systems." The display expanded to show other star systems. "These are the weapon platforms we've built around other stars in this region of the galaxy. If you had actually threatened Earth with destruction, we were prepared to turn every star system within 50 light-years into weapons pointed at Federation space." Admiral Zalkan stared at the display in horror. Humanity hadn't just prepared to defend Earth. They had prepared to wage war across the entire galaxy. "But Admiral," Elena continued, "we don't want to destroy the Federation. We want to change. Go to Rhine." Elena's image appeared on screens throughout the Federation fleet. "Attention, Federation forces. My name is Captain Elena Vasquez, and I'm speaking for the entire human species. We know that your empire has conquered 47 different species over thousands of years. We know that you've destroyed the independence and culture of billions of people. We know that you rule through fear and intimidation." Elena paused, letting her words sink in. "Today, that ends." Elena activated a new display showing human ships appearing simultaneously in orbit around every major Federation world. While your Grand Fleet was traveling to Earth, our ships were taking positions around your home worlds. Every Federation planet is now within range of human weapons. Every Federation citizen is now under human protection. Admiral Zalkan realized what Elena was saying. "You're threatening to destroy our entire civilization." "No, Admiral," Elena corrected. "We're offering your entire civilization the same choice you've given 47 other species. Join us willingly, or be forced to join us." Elena's expression became serious. "The difference is that we're not interested in creating an empire. We're interested in creating a federation